welcome to Truth is Freedom. I'm Dennis Cummins, and I'm so glad that you're with us today. Today, I've got a very special guest and friend with us today, and that is our sheriff here in Pierce County, Sheriff Ed Troyer. He's been serving our county in a very, very distinguished time, going through the lockdowns, the challenges that we face with a liberal governor and a liberal attorney general, and they actually went after him, and yet he was acquitted by a jury of his peers. And that just goes to show that truth does prevail. And so we need to stay strong. But welcome, Sheriff. I'm so glad that you're here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I know we've known each other for a long time, and I always like to get a chance to talk about what's going on in our community and what we can all do better to make it even a better place to live and work.
Yeah, and the thing is you can't trust local media. You can't trust the Tacoma Tribune or Seattle Times or any news outlet anymore. Just
terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I read stories in the media that I was part of, and I don't even know that it's the same incident.
Yeah.
I just read a headline that said sheriff deputies shoot and kill Puyallup resident. And I was thinking, wonder what that was about. And it turns out to be the guy that shot at us first, shot up our cars, and was wanted for raping the lady after he kidnapped her from the Chuck E. Cheese. They left all that out.
Yeah.
But so it's just hard to trust the media right now.
Yeah, it's anti-policing. Mm-hmm. It's actually anti-American. And that's one thing that has just been so powerful in your ability to focus on what's constitutional, what's right for the laws of the land here. And I know they want to take that away from Pierce County, and they want take away our ability to have an elected sheriff, but
right.
An appointed chief. And that's intolerable. And that's why we have to make sure that we have the right county exec.
Correct. The right county exec, the right governor, and you have to have an elected sheriff. If
Yes.
you don't have an elected sheriff, as you notice, you don't hear a lot of police chiefs on the news talking, because if they don't put out the message that their county or city councils want them to, or their mayors or their city managers, they no longer have a job. So they're not really the chief of the police. It's the elected people or the mob that we currently have in power right now that's causing all the problems. As sheriff, I don't have to listen to people. I listen to voters. I work for the voters. I don't work for the councils and the mayors and that. I work for the voters, and I stick up for the voters, and I try and do what's right for the people of the county, and that irks some people. And obviously, I had some backlash on me, and I think it all started when COVID came around. And I'm by no means an anti-vaxxer, but I'm a freedom of choice guy.
Yep.
And I did not require my deputies or corrections officers to have the shot or lose their job like the state did and King County did and Seattle did. Well, because of that, I have approximately 20 corrections workers, Seattle police officers, and others that now work for me and work for Pierce County because they were going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, our governor comes back and says, all right, you can all come back now, now the pandemic's over, and tried to offer everybody back their jobs. I didn't lose a single person.
Yeah.
Everybody that came from those other departments is still working for Pierce County, and they love it here.
Yeah. No, and that's one thing that really stood out, because you're not afraid to stand for truth and what's right. And let's just face it. A lot of the leaders, the left leaders, the Democrats here, are pro-crime. They're pro-lawlessness, and they have no sense of morality when it comes to just protecting innocent civilians. What is it for shoplifting now, to actually be a crime?
Well, shoplifting isn't a crime. I mean, they've decriminalized pretty much so. I mean, drugs are pretty much legal. We've disbanded our narcotics unit because no matter what we do and what case we bring, we can't arrest people. They're not charged. And that's no fault to the prosecutors. We're just going by these crazy state laws. You hear about the big ones like the non-pursuit or no pursuit laws, but you don't hear about all the other stuff they snuck in there. And it just makes policing very, very hard. The few officers I have lost because of all this are ones that move back to their home states. Texas, Wyoming, where you can still be a cop and still do law enforcement. The community still loves you and you're still included and invited places. Well, here it's just not cool to do that anymore. It was that way, you know, and we went through COVID and then we went through the BLM and then the protests and everything else. But I really believe the pendulum's coming back. I get 99 letters of support and emails for every one that's not. And the one that's not, I call them the white woke saviors because they really have nothing to do with anything other than they're mad at the world.
Right.
And they can't talk for more than 1 minute about the situation or what the issue is because they're just not intelligent enough to do it. And they really don't know. They're just jumping on the bandwagon. Mm-hmm. And that's scary for all of our kids out there. And our kids are learning in this environment and they're already stuck at home with COVID and they're being force fed all this as if it's the truth. And it's not the truth.
Yeah.
I know that 90+% of the people are good people or like us. And we need them to stand up. We need to hear their voices and say enough's enough.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about this catch and release and juvenile crime, because we know the Democrats, they held the House, and so therefore they pushed through whatever legislation they wanted. And so they're just they literally have made crime legal now, and they've lowered the ages. So let's talk about some of those challenges that you're seeing with juveniles, with guns, stealing vehicles. Come on, let's talk.
Well, absolutely. So one of the things is we get into court and there's these 16, 17-year-olds that have shot people multiple times and they've been reprimanded to murder status. And we still have defense attorneys and people calling them, oh, these poor kiddos. Well, they're not poor kiddos. And you know what they're doing? They're killing other poor kiddos. Mm-hmm. A lot of the juvenile crime is juvenile against juvenile, same race against same race. And unfortunately, these kids have been turned into adults because they've been committing crimes since they were 11, 12, 13. Just the other day, they had those kids in that stolen Kia, and they were 14, 15 years old, ran from the police crash. One ran into a pond and drowned. They got the car. They were wanted for armed robberies, and there's 4 stolen guns in the car. That's not kid crime. No. That's not shoplifting. That's big-time adult crimes where people get hurt and killed. As you see, who has not seen a car go by with a broken window going 100 miles an hour down the freeway, boards up on shops, not just pot shops, but regular stores. Yeah. And they drive cars through stores and they loot them and they're armed. And there's just so much of that going on. Right now, there are probably 35, 40 kids in Raymond Hall, but those 35 or 40 kids have been reprimanded to adult status for murder, assault 1, rape 1. Those are hardcore, which usually you go to prison for a long time for those crimes. Recently, we had an incident at Raymond Hall where the kids, I call them inmates, took over the place and assaulted 7 or 8 of the staff members and actually broke a rib on one of the people, got a hold of the staff's cell phones, and literally we had to send kind of a mini strike team into Raymond Hall to take it back over and get them all locked down and restore peace. This isn't the last couple months. Did you hear about that on the media?
No.
Did you even know that happened?
No.
Nobody does because they don't. The media knows it happened. They're just not reporting it. So there's another reason. Don't trust the media, because it's not just the bad news they're writing about. It's the news that's happening that you're not hearing about. Yeah. So we did something. I said enough of that. If they're going to act like adults and they're being tried like adults, we went up there with a couple vans and some Tacoma police and some sheriff deputies, and we yarded 10 or 11 of them out of there, and we brought them down to downtown, put them in jail where we could control them better, and they won't hurt each other, they won't hurt staff. And if you're going to act like that, we're going to treat you like a real prisoner. And so now we've got it under control again, and that's how we're going to continue to do it. I'm just afraid that some attorney or judge is going to tell us to bring them all back up there. We're not going to have any staff that's going to want to work there when they have to work in such a dangerous environment. Yeah. I mean, what are we going to do? We've trained all these little killers. Yep. If we don't do something very drastic, it's going to only get worse. I mean, I don't know how it could get worse. 5, 10 years ago, you would have told me this is where we were at. I wouldn't have believed it, but we're here. Yeah, we're here. And kids with guns, and the laws don't prevent them from having these guns because criminals don't pay attention to the laws. And so let's talk about car theft. I mean, it's rampant. We know it's bad. What's going on there? Well, if you go back 4 years, 5 years before all this mayhem started, the average amount of car theft in the countywide, and that includes all the cities, was anywhere from 200 to 230 cars a month. That's a huge number. Yeah. 200, 230 cars a month stolen in Pierce County. In the last 6 months, the monthly average is 850 to 900 cars stolen. So it's almost quadrupled the amount of cars stolen. And we know that they're out taking these cars and they're out doing robberies, drive-by shootings, driving through stores, burglaries, thefts, you name it. And then they're just abandoning the cars. And of course, they're trashed. And
what do you attribute to the increase, this kind of an increase? So what are you pointing that to?
Well, there's a couple things. One, the people that are doing it is a small minority of the people. When you look at the overall population, they're not being held accountable. That's one. Two, we can't do anything, and they all know it. So if we go to pull over a stolen car, they'll just take off. And once they start accelerating in speed instead of decreasing in speed, we know they're going to run, and we have to let them go.
And I know officers personally that have been rammed by people with stolen cars, and they can't do anything.
We have cars that have been rammed. We've had people run from us and go the wrong way in the freeway who are wanted for robbery, and we have to chase them down. And total cars, one of our cars caught on fire. I have a whole boneyard full of cars that bad guys and people wrecked of ours intentionally. And they go to jail, and then they're held on $2,000 bail or bond. And we're starting to notify some of the judicial judges, and there's just very few. Most of the prosecutors, in fact, all the prosecutors in Pierce County are great. They're pro-law enforcement and anti-crime, and same with a lot of the judges, but there are a few that just let everybody go. So if you go to our social media pages, we're calling them out. We're listing all the crimes somebody did, and they got released on their own recognizance, and then 3 days later, they didn't show up for court, and they're out committing more crime. I mean, when's it going to end? I mean, at a certain point, you know, I like I said, if you let me take the top 100, 150 people off the street overnight, we could round up the 100, 150 people, and we incarcerate them and hold them responsible. And they're people that are well deserved it. We'd see a big drop in crime.
Well, some people are saying, well, why? Why aren't the police doing their job? Why aren't they rounding these people up? What do you say to those people?
We're saying the same thing. Why is the system not letting us round these people up? Why is the system, every time that we figure out a way to catch criminals, they figure out a way to make us stop catching criminals? It's interesting. It really is. As we find a new tool or a new way to catch people, then we just know what's coming around the corner is they're going to take that tool away from us.
Well, let's talk a little bit about less lethal options and how maybe you've had your hands tied that way, whether canine or other tools available. What have they done there to tie your hands?
Well, we do have some things coming up that I'm looking forward to talking to the public about that include a few ways for us to catch some of these car theft organizations and some of the leaders in crime. We have some things that are coming that maybe after the summer, I can come and explain how we caught a lot of people. I just don't want to give away our secrets and our plans. And I'll tell you when we're done here, but I know everybody watches these. And the next thing you know, it'll be on YouTube, but what to watch out for. So we have some good ideas on how to catch people. We have some good ideas on how to hold people accountable. We want to get people's stolen property back. It's not just cars. People are stealing tractors and bulldozers and major construction theft, not just stealing a few pieces of wood or lumber. They're taking big trucks and wiping out whole interiors of homes of all their brand new appliances. And we catch the same people over and over. And after about the fourth or fifth time, they may serve 90 days, and that's just, it's a slap on the wrist because they're going to go right back out and start doing it again. And we know it's almost, remember the cartoon where the rooster and they check in and then they're buddies afterwards. We know that, okay, they're going to jail. Hey, all right, you caught me. I'll do my 90 days. And as soon as they're out running from us and causing mayhem again.
Catch and release. It was amazing. The frustration, even, the people in my church, we have roughly about 1,500 families that are part of this church, 1,500 families.
And they're all, I love coming out here and meeting them. They're all great. They're all law enforcement supportive. And
and I asked the question, I said, raise your hand if you've had your car stolen. Okay. Third of the congregation raised their hand. Then I said, how many have had your car stolen twice? A third of them raised their hand.
And they probably all have Kias or
pretty much
Ford trucks. A couple of them. Right.
And so I know there's a level of frustration, but further out there's a level of willful ignorance. And, we talk to people and it's like, why don't you want to re-engage with the sign this initiative so we can re-engage the pursuit police? And they're like, well, what do you mean?
They don't know.
They have no idea.
I know. I can't so many times when people like the police won't do anything, and I explain to them the conversation that we're having now, they had no idea. I don't watch the news. Well, I don't vote. I'm just sick and tired of hearing about it. Well, so you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
Right? You're part of the problem. Like you said, willful ignorance, or I just don't want to have to deal with it. I think everybody needs to pull their heads out of the sand. And right now we have some good opportunities coming up with Governor Reichert, and we have good opportunities coming up with Kelly Chambers for county executive, and that are pro-police. I think they both are the type that believe in a hand up, not a handout.
Yes.
We're not just going to give stuff away for free, but you want to go to school, you want to learn, you want to turn your life around. We're all here to help you, just like the police are. But if you just want free stuff and, just be able to run amok and cause chaos, we're not here to help you. We're the ones that are going to be here to hold you accountable.
Yeah. Well, and there's, people say, well, this should be free. This should be free. And, I liked what Senator Gilden said. He said, there's nothing free. And he actually passed an initiative to make sure that everything was changed from free or government sponsored to taxpayer dollars paid.
Right.
Taxpayer. We're paying this. It's not free.
There's nothing.
Crime is expensive, right?
Oh,
Wrecked police cars are expensive. I mean, you start going through the outrageous costs that we're incurring because of a lawless society. And I've got a good pastor friend in New Mexico, and I think we parallel so many things there with the lawless issues that we're dealing there and here. But let's hit just a couple of those high arching issues that maybe somebody naively is sitting there going, well, what are you talking about? You can't pursue a criminal, or just hit a couple of those high arching issues. Just one more time, help them understand.
Well, if somebody is in a stolen car and if we go to stop them, they run, we can't do anything about it. If somebody is involved in shoplifting, we're not even really responding anymore because we have so many calls on the board. And there's so much violent crime out there that we're really, really busy. In the last 2 weeks, we've had 2 different people shoot at our deputies. We have bullet holes in cars. We've had very major 3-strike felons and people wanted for murder that we got to go take care of because they shouldn't be out, but they're out. They have a long history of criminal history. And, I've lost 5 people, deputies in line of duty, since I've been doing the media or the sheriff's job. And a couple of them here in the last few years have been shot. And here we are, same, we all know what happens. 2 weeks later, we have a couple different people that are shot at us. And, thankfully, we're well trained and they lost their lives, but it was the actions of themselves. They started it. We finish it. My people are still okay. The public's okay. So that kind of stuff keeps us really, really busy and really puts a drain on our resources, on our SWAT teams. We had to have Tacoma take over for us for a while, and because we were just so spent. And then we've taken over for Tacoma when they've just been really, really busy. And you don't really hear about it. They're just little articles in the newspaper. Unless it fits their agenda, the mob, then you'll read about it every single day over and over, and you'll only get about 10% of the truth. So and I was a victim of that, between our current governor and our current attorney general, who's just out of control and run amok. And if you're going to vote, if you're going to complain, then you need to get out there and vote. You need to get out there and do something about it. If your neighbors are the ones that are complaining, tell them to vote.
Educate them.
We only had 36% of the people vote in the last election. What does that tell you? That means 2/3 of the people don't care, or they care, they don't know what to do about it. Hey, get out and vote. And if you do that and you want to complain, I'll listen.
That's right.
But do something,
Let's talk about fentanyl. This is an absolute crisis. I believe it's an engineered crisis. We won't get into that, but open
let
borders.
me give you the short version of what you think and what we think in law enforcement. Chemicals are being made in China and they're being shipped to Mexico, and pill presses are cheap and they're turning them into pills. And China's giving these chemicals to the cartel in Mexico with a little bit of a push saying, get them into the United States. That, when fentanyl first started, it was $20 a pill, two for $20, 3 for 15. Now it's basically down to $1 a pill. And the fentanyl isn't made in certified labs.
Right.
It's made by people in chemicals. And then so you might have terrible fentanyl that could kill you by itself. And then people are mixing it with other stuff. And just because you mix it with other stuff doesn't mean it's even. Like one time you might get high, the next time it might kill you.
Yeah.
I know who doesn't know somebody who doesn't have a friend, a neighbor, a parishioner, or somebody whose kid or relative hasn't OD'd or died on fentanyl.
Yep.
But yet it just goes untouched. I mean, look at all the fentanyl that's coming across the border. Every day they're seizing thousands and thousands of pills. The people that are carrying it over aren't being held accountable.
Yep.
There's no interdiction down there on the border. There's no interdiction on the chemicals coming out of China. And the cartels are bringing it across, free without any, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then the legislation changed the law here, right? Mm-hmm. And what did that do?
It makes it that we can't, unless you have a whole bunch on you and you're dealing and you have all of the signs that you're dealing and selling, we can't do anything about it. And that's really sad when you have 14, 15-year-old kids that have access to this for $1 a pill and are falling over. And I'm just shocked that on the back end, nothing's being done. If the laws were there and there were some teeth behind it, I'd put a team together and we'd take care of the problem. Yeah. But right now, we're not even allowed to take care of the problem.
Well, and it's become blatant. I'm going to give you just a little side story. So, we run a fireworks stand down at the Safeway here in the summer. And we're setting up and all that. And then sure enough, you see 1, 2, 3 cars. And it's obvious as day what they're doing. They're selling fentanyl out of their cars. And it's not just obvious, but it's really close proximity, and they don't care. Your officers can't do anything except talk to them.
Right.
And so literally, and no fault to the officers because of the laws, I literally had to go over there and say, hey guys, look, we got kids here. This is what we're doing. How about you guys work that side of the parking lot and we work this side of the parking lot and we just coexist for now. Okay.
Well, the issue is if you have a fireworks stand or a coffee stand or anywhere people congregate, that's where business will be done because they just fit right in. Yep. They don't stick out as if they were in the loading dock of a store. That's not where drug deals are done. Right. Or in a back alley on
high traffic
the river.
areas,
They go to high traffic areas, do it right out in the open. It's not suspicious. Yep. So that's why that's happening there when you do that. And everybody can say, hey, the fireworks stand there, meet me there. Yep. So it's not as undercover. It's not as sneaky as it used to be because they don't need to be. That's why it's right out in the open.
And they are bold. And I can see the frustration on the officers too, because they know it's hurting the community. It's killing people. It's killing kids. And yet, what was it? The Blake's law? Was
Blake decision?
Yeah, the Blake decision that they changed that and lowered they raised. What'd they do? They allowed somebody. You have to have a higher quantity, right?
Well, you have to have a higher. Well, not only do you have to have a higher quantity, but the way it's set up right now is you have to be charged and convicted of multiple misdemeanors before you're held accountable, and it turns into a felony. And the prosecutor doesn't have the resources, ability to go charging people with misdemeanors and multiple times to get to that level. So it's not even happening. Wow. I mean, all the prosecutors tell you that it's an unattainable goal, no matter how hard they work, especially when you come in on a Monday morning. And I know that our prosecutors are looking at multiple shootings, drive-by shootings, fatalities. I mean, record homicides everywhere, record homicides everywhere. We got to work those cases because we got to find out who's killing the people so they don't kill more people. And then we work our way down. And we never get to that level anymore because there's, like I said, we took away our narcotics unit. We rebuilt the unit into a special unit that does that when needs to be, but also goes after car thieves and goes after construction theft, whatever needs to be done. They're more of a generic unit that just goes after the criminals that need to be dealt with.
Yep. Yeah. Well, in this last legislative session in 2023, the legislators had the opportunity to fix this, because the system's broken willfully and they're not giving you the ability to do it. And they still chose to ignore it and not fix it.
Well, yeah, well, not only that, but the little fixes that they tried to do, there's new legislation coming in this time to take those away. So we're going to even go backwards if that happens. As we start making a little forward progress, we're going to take a big dive backwards. And that's where it comes down to voting. Look at who's in there and doing that. Look at the people who are voting that. Like I said, look for the people that want to help people have a hand up and want education and job training and give everybody a chance. Not the ones that just want to give free stuff away, hand out, not hold anybody accountable. And, that's till that changes, nothing's going to change. And I'm advocating, heavily for changes. That's why I'm supporting Kelly Chambers for county executive and Dave Reichert for governor. If we can't get those people in this time, I hate to use the word, we're doomed, but it's only going to get worse.
Well, yeah, if Bob Ferguson becomes the governor of this state, and Ryan Mello becomes the chairman,
terrible.
It's going to be Seattle all across the state.
Yeah, and Pierce County will end up bankrupt. As much money and things that the county council wants to just give away and hand out millions and millions of dollars for social services, which just basically means here's your free stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So it would be terrible. I mean, Bob Ferguson, I think he's probably going to be 0 for 4 in charging cops here in the next couple of weeks because he's charged a lot of cops and he's not doing well at it.
Good.
And he's weaponized that office. And do we want a governor who weaponizes a political office? Absolutely not. And one of the things that these guys continue to do is just continue. I mean, how many times did he sue the past president? 40 something. How many times did he sue the current president? 0.
Yep.
That should tell you something right there. And who sues the Value Village? He did. He sued a nonprofit, the Value Village. Not only did he lose, he was ordered to pay them almost $3 million. There's just a little article in the paper about that. You would think that, that they would make sure everybody knows that you have an attorney general in Bob Ferguson who's out of control. If you're a political enemy, if you don't agree with them on the COVID shots, the governor and him, if the title of elected sheriff, you got a target on your back.
That's right.
I mean, look what just happened in Snow County. King County went appointed, and they would love to have appointed sheriffs all throughout the state so they can control them and take the power away from the people. And so it doesn't need to be me, but do not lose your ability to have an elected sheriff.
Yeah. Well, to our viewers, they need to know that you've been, I think, the centerpin firewall to King County and to the governor. And that's why we've prayed for you so much.
Well, and I appreciate that, because way back before all this started, when King County started slipping years ago, I always would say, don't King County or Pierce.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let Tacoma, Pierce County become Seattle or King County.
Yeah.
And that got the irk of a lot of people. And I knew it would. I knew it would.
Let's give people the understanding of the size of the county, your how many cops per capita compared to other areas. Let's give them that snapshot.
Well, they'd like to have less cops, through the depolicing and getting people to quit. They're happy about that. But we get up and we do a good job with the amount of people we have. We have almost 1 million people in Pierce County now, about 950,000. It's growing fast. So in the country, Washington State has the lowest per capita police to citizen ratio. So we're 51 in the country, police to capita ratio. And now in the state of Washington, Pierce County has the lowest in the state of Washington. We have a 0.63, 0.67 deputies per 1,000 people, where other cities and jurisdictions in the state have 2.1 to 2.3. So we could double in size and still be the lowest jurisdiction in the state, which we are already last place in the country.
Yeah.
So that shows you, when you see a Pierce County Sheriff's car, thank them, because they're never just driving around. They're going from call to call to call, and people will do more in our department in 3 months than they'll do other places in 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
And our people become seasoned really, really quick. But you know what? They don't complain. We would love to have twice as many people, but right now the forces and the powers to be aren't going to let that happen. 51st in the country statewide, and then last in the state. So that pretty much puts us last in the country.
Well, Inslee has been the number one salesperson for U-Haul, obviously, sending people out of the state because they're sick of it. And we witnessed, and you could speak to this, obviously, how many police officers lateraled out. They said, we're done. We're moving to other more police-friendly places. Talk about staffing right now. What are you looking at? How are you trying to maintain the numbers?
Well, the good thing is police and the corrections officers and other members from departments and new hires are choosing Pierce County because they know my take on it, and they know our county executives' take on it, and they have support of the people in Pierce County. So we are still on the upswing of hiring. Even though we have 35 openings on the deputy level, at one point we had 60. So we are
60.
Going up. Right. And now, just this week, I swore in 9 corrections officers. And 3 years ago, we only hired 4 in 1 year. And this year, so far, we've hired about 22, 23, which takes a lot of work by going through background and hiring process. And I'm very thankful that's the main thing when I commission. It's one of my favorite things is promoting and commissioning people. I'm very thankful when I commission people that they chose Pierce County, knowing that they are going to work twice as hard. And they're going to be busy, but you know what? They're going to have a great career with us because we support our people.
And is that true where there was other officers that tried to lateral here to Pierce County and couldn't pass a background check?
Correct. Yeah. We, our standards for our patrol deputies and everybody that we put out there are still high. We're not, we've allowed some facial hair and we've allowed some things to get with the times, but we're not compromising me too. We're not compromising on criminal behavior or past behavior or what makes you a good person, makes the right decisions, because in our job, you make a lot of life and death decisions, on your own without backup because of our staffing. So we hire the right people. And no offense to the people, the few people that have left us, we recruit heavily out of JBLM, the military base. And when you do that, you get people from all over the country. They love Pierce County. They love it here. They want to be in police work. But after they were here for a few years and saw the way things are in Pierce County, they're going back to Texas. They're going back to their hometowns. They're lateraling back to where they can still do police work and be with their families. And it's not a lot. If you look at how many we've lost because of that, compared to how many we've taken from other agencies because they like Pierce County and the elected sheriff, way outnumbered. We're doing way better. We're winning that thing. Right. And the last few times I've hired corrections officers and sworn in, out of the, say, 15 or 20, 6 or 7 of them came from the state of Washington Department of Corrections who've had enough and have come to us. So citizens of Pierce County, our agency's strong, and we're still out there working. I don't want to be all doom and gloom because we're catching the bad guys. We're catching the murderers. We're catching them. Now we just need somebody to start holding them accountable. That's the thing. Hold them accountable, and we'll take care of the problems.
So your term's up in November of next year, 2024. So what happens then? Are you running again?
I am.
What's happening?
I have decided, and it's not due to anything that's going on. I've gone through COVID. I've gone through attacks from. I'm okay with that.
You've been through the big war.
Yeah, I have been, and I think I was the right person here at the right time to do that.
And you've been in law enforcement how long?
Well, 38 years. And when I retire, I'll have 40 years on.
Incredible.
Yeah. And, put my family and my friends through a lot of it. And I'm not done working by any chance. As you know, we've done nonprofit charity stuff together for years, and I have an opportunity. So I'm not going away, but I am not going to run again. And I made that clear recently because I want the right people to step up. One of the things I wanted to do in my term was put the future leadership of the sheriff's department together. And I think I've done that. I think I have our next sheriff ready to go and command staff. And then I think we have the next sheriff after that and the next sheriff after that. So hopefully the next few sheriffs in a row will be a product of what we've been able to build right now. And they all have the same mentality in protecting the citizens. None of them want to throw in the towel. They're all great people. They're all good servants of the voters, and I'll look forward. I'll still be here on just in a different role. Helping the community and working with the community, just in a different role.
Right on. Sheriff, one more thing, because you are the highest law in the land. You're the most authoritative voice in this county. What do you say to the public citizenry that are out there and, police per capita is lower, maybe response times can't be what you would want them to be because of the restraints and all that. So what tips do you give the everyday person out there to do better at protecting themselves, being aware, things like that?
That's just it. Be aware, protect yourself. Don't be the list. If you're the most vulnerable, you're going to become vulnerable. Get yourself protected, get your family protected. I know a lot of people in Pierce County are armed. Nobody's coming for your guns. Even if they're ordering me to do that, we'll never be coming for anybody's guns.
Yep.
You have the right to protect yourself and your family. Absolutely. We've had some incidents of that happening, and we've proven that. We're on the citizen side on that one.
Yep.
The other thing is,
and that's what the governor and the attorney general hates.
Yes.
About you.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, I know they do. That you can make any type of crazy gun law you want, and it's not going to be our people that are going to go out and enforce it.
Yeah.
I've been very clear on that.
Yep.
And also, we are not going to, we don't, for lack of a better term, you never hear people bitching about our staffing. They go out and put their boots on and go out and take care of business every day. It's nice if just a kid comes up and says hi, or you say, thank you for what you're doing. It means a lot to our people when you do that. So don't be afraid to engage with us when you have a chance to do that. But just know we're busy. We're not going to be there for a long time usually. And also it comes down to get out and vote. We got to change our leaders in the state. We got to change the laws back in the state, or we're going to continue to go down. We're beyond the slippery slope. I mean, we're in the fast lane downhill right now. So we got to definitely do something to change that.
Yep.
Put the brakes on, get the pendulum to swing back, and let's start taking care of problems. Just a few percent of the people that are causing 95% of the problems. You let us take care of that, and we'll fix this up.
Well, right on. Well, Sheriff, this has been great. So appreciate your stand that you're taking, your benevolent heart, working with Toys for Kids. You've been with Crime Stoppers, leading that in the past as well. And you really care for the community. You really care for our fallen officers, the families there.
Thank you.
You have a compassionate heart, and you've been through hell the last few days, but you've come through it. And so thank you. I'm proud of you as our sheriff.
Well, I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm looking forward to watching the Pierce County Sheriff's Department grow and thrive and be part of it just in a different way, and still connecting with the citizens and everybody I've met throughout the years, and still continue to get things done with, we have hundreds of volunteers, and they do all the work. I just take the credit for it, just like my people.
Yep. Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, guys, thank you. That's it for Truth is Freedom. Help us like, share, subscribe. We're going to link in the show notes the Pierce County Facebook page. You need to follow that if you really want to know what's going on in the news, the real news. And they do a phenomenal job of keeping that up to date on current matters that are going on. And so please, and register to vote. You can register to vote right here at this church. And we'll never tell you who to vote for, but we tell you what to vote for according to the Word of God. And so it's important that we support making sure that we have an elected sheriff, making sure that we have the right governor and the right county exec in this county. So thank you, guys. God bless you. See you soon.